Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Ninja Gaiden Black, and this is my Master Ninja Difficulty Gaiden walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 3 of 17. It is entitled Thunderclap of Catastrophe. So before you fight the dogs, I would go pick up that item in there. And I didn't mention it in the last video, or last couple of videos, but I maybe should have. When I mentioned that I was playing the game, on 60 FPS. One of the reasons for that is because it does put the resolution to 4K upscaled, and if you do choose to play 120 FPS, what I am led to believe is that it puts the game to 1080p. And I've also heard some pretty depressing stories about 120 FPS and you're playing on that mode rather, and some of the combos don't come out. Maybe if that is true, and that's sad if it's true, but fixable probably. You'll definitely want to put the frame rate to 60 even if you're playing on PC. Now there are three caches of bats. This is the second one, I believe. So if you do get hit by the dogs, or if you use some Nimpo on the dogs, and you want some of the Nimpo back before you open this chest over here, try to kill the bats first and see what they're dropping, because they might give you, anywhere from 0 to up to 3 Nimpo drops if you're really lucky. But that box that we did pass over there's no reason to pick it up because it's a static chest, meaning that it will always give out red essence, and we already have that maxed out. And since we'll probably be using some up here, we'll do the usual thing of we'll use it and then I'll just come back off screen and pick it up. And I think after I get to the first save point, I'll go back and upgrade the Lunar to level 3. That will unlock all the combos for that. But since this is based off of Sigma 2, even when you get weapons maxed out, they still feel underwhelming because of resilient enemies. So it can be one of those trade-offs where you do get access to every move, but you're still at the behest of the game's damage for enemies, and they're being resilient to your attacks and having more HP. So there's also a box down there too that has a static pickup for blue health, and then over here, a little ways up, like halfway up the hall, you'll have a final spawn. You'll want to be careful though, because any spawn that you come across that you're completely caught off guard by can be one that instantly just spells your demise if you're not paying attention to the spawns, or you forget. So yeah, I do believe that at this point right here, I've upgraded the Lunar to level 3, and then up here there's 4 mages, and there's a couple of chests coming up too that, for the sake of showing it on the video, I'll go out of my way to not take damage, and if that means having to rely more on using Nimpo, I will, especially if refills for that are coming up or are somewhere around that I have access to, because there is a chest coming up that has a grains or the equivalent of that, monetarily speaking, in a chest down there. But you are going to have to take no damage. But you don't have to go out of your way to always get the money, because getting the item drop is just as good. But what you don't want to have is a situation where you're just getting a piddly amount of blue essence, particularly if you don't need much of it. But down here we have a fight with some claw ninjas and some rocket launcher attack ninjas, and then of course some standard attack ninjas. And like I said, I'm gonna go out of my way just so that I can, show you me accumulating the money. Now, if you were one short of the grains over here, you would want to make sure that you didn't touch that chest, even if you're one shy. Say you have 2 grains right there, right? If you have any damage off you, though, it's going to give you blue health. So you don't want that because there's a statue coming up, and you're going to get healed pretty soon anyway. So there's always a benefit to thinking those chests out and not just opening them, because let's face it, I've played this game dozens of times, so I definitely know what's coming up at any given moment. But that doesn't mean I can't be wrong sometimes. I'm just saying that I always have a pretty good idea of what I want to do, and if you want to err on the side of caution, just save first and then manipulate your chest secondly. And there are a couple hard spots coming up over here. Did I get that chest that had the Nimpo in it over here? There was one chest, so you need to be careful of that chest too, because if you're not maxed out with Nimpo, even if you have all of the Devil Way mushrooms in your inventory, all 3, if you have even one Nimpo used, it's going to give you a red drop. And there was a chest with a full refill of red at the beginning of the chapter that you could have gone back to and filled it out that way. And in any case, you want the money if you can, or the item or the money, but just make sure that you're always getting the most out of those chests, because even though you can buy whatever you want in this game without the game holding you back and parceling out the upgrades, things are still expensive, and there are less enemies in this game too, so you'll have to compensate for that by sustaining high combos when you do UT kills and things like that, if you can. I know it's not always possible, but and then just good old-fashioned not using items if you can help it. And then yeah, this is one of those hard fights, because you have this grouping of enemies down here, and then you've got dogs, and then you've got the Vangels. Now, if you wanted to, I think I tried this and it worked, but you can go to the chest, just run to the chest that has the Flaming Phoenix in it, and then that will trigger a cutscene. But if you just jump down here and run to the chest, your chances of making it to the chest and opening it and then getting the cutscene with 10,000 enemies chasing after you, it's not really likely that you're going to survive. And so it's the best thing to do is to systematically clear the fights down here. That's the first fight. And then there's a chest with a static pickup over here of blue essence. So no matter what, this is always going to give you blue, so don't worry about missing out or anything like that. You'll hear the dogs probably before you see them spawning. Release the charge if you have to earlier rather than later, because if you do it later, then you're going to be just dead, because they're going to grab you. You can't stand still by these dogs. They're shit. Utter shit. What makes this part difficult too is that the Nimpo that is coming up over here, as I mentioned, it's the Flame Phoenix. That's not the ideal Nimpo to use on a Vangel. It's not the ideal Nimpo to have in any fight, actually. And the other alternative would be the Inferno. But of course, on Ninja Gaiden 2, the Inferno's not good. Well, at least in the case of Sigma 2 in this game, the Inferno's not good for this enemy. You would have to throw like 3 or more to kill it, so it's a complete waste. So the alternative would be once you get the cutscene finished, dash out of the way of the Vangel. Otherwise, it could be instant death. I'm not sure. On Sigma 2, it was instant death. I'm not sure if they outright kill you, but it will definitely put you to a bad place. And then, of course, you've got more Vangels. So what I would recommend is to just do UTs and just go for the D-limb. So if you have the lunar up to level 3 or level 2, you're gonna have a higher rate of D-limb on enemies, so that will help you to sever their limbs quickly. And then it's just a process of dashing over to them, because they'll eventually try to dash out of the way of your OT and then just finish them off. So the Jewel of the Demon Seal over here, I'm going to apply it to, notice I have I had hardly any money, but we manipulated a couple of chests and we're doing pretty well, back up to 16,000. But at the earlier part of the stage, the chest right there is Nimpo, static chest, so if you need to come back to it, just come back to it and you can fill yourself out with Nimpo. This is an herb, it's going to give us the cash. So I would recommend over here using the Nimpo, because there's two ones across the way, and if you do jump down, you can make your way over to a chest that has 1,000 in essence or fish, and I think I got the fish, and then I did a UT kill on them. And then when I said before you can get up to like 2.5 times your money back from a charge off of fish from chests, I think I was overstating it. You don't get that much back. You could potentially get more from a charge for sure, but it's more like twice as much. So it's not 2.5 times. It's a little under maybe 2 times as much. Okay, so there's 2 Vangels over here. Just be careful of them. And notice it only takes a couple of X attacks to delimb them. But sometimes, you know, it could take more. And then over here we've got a Lives of the Thousand Gods pickup. So I noticed on these they do fill your health out. So if you look at your health bar here, or my health bar rather, they make a point of saying you have a little bit more health, and then they do regenerate that. So that's decent in them. I'm not sure if it was like that in the other games. But over here there's just one ISNG down here. And I hope they do some good things with the PC and modding it. The things like, I did see one video where they were already attempting to mod it so that they had the ISBAM back. And, you know, I might cover it. I tried to get up there. I don't know how to get up there from here. I don't know if you can. But there are a couple more difficult parts coming up. The boss is not an atrocity like it used to be. It's still a pretty poor boss, but I didn't have to use any items on it as far as health items. I think I used Nimpo a couple times for iframes. And anytime you're swimming, if you're not if it's not swimming fast enough for your preferences, you can press X or Y, and depending on what weapon you have equipped, it will do a different animation in the water. So the chest that we just passed up over there, it has it's a static red Nimpo chest. And then I've switched to my flails over here. They're just at level 1, but I figure we're a little behind where we could be on money, so I decided to use the flails and see how much of a combo we can get it. You know, if we can get as close as we can to 50, or, you know, you don't have to get to 50. Just get as much as you possibly can, and then, you know, that's going to give you more money. And I figured the only thing that can really give us a high combo at this point is probably this weapon, because off of these charges over here, if you press the Y button repeatedly, it should go into a cremator attack, but it doesn't always do it. It just depends on, you know, and then after all that fussing with that dog, it still didn't kill him, you know. And we did a full UT, you know, and beyond. He already had damage on him. So just, use the Nimpo on the dogs because they're going to get in your way. What I would really like to do on a dog is just to do the graveyard Azuna drop on dogs. I think that would be fun to do because you can't Azuna drop them, but it would be fun if you could. Yeah, I just like the ability to use the alternative Azuna drop. Although I think on Sigma 2, because my point of reference is Ninja Gaiden 3, where they let you do it. Or maybe it was Razor's Edge, but once you got, I think it was the upgraded Dragon Sword, a little bit later in the game, you could do an Azuna drop with the normal Dragon Sword, or you could do, if you held the analog in, I think it was backwards or maybe it was forwards, you would do the graveyard Azuna drop. And I thought that was fun to have, two choices for an Azuna drop. But I think on this version, the only weapon that does that is the Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang, and it's not a normal Azuna drop either. What I believe you have to press is, it's kind of a long-winded combo, and you're vulnerable while you do it, so it's highly possible that you're going to get interrupted while you do it. There's only a couple of fights left too, but one of them is actually pretty damn difficult, because you're in a narrow corridor with a bunch of Vangels, and at one point they pincer you and you're trapped, so it's actually really difficult. Now you're going to see me do it without taking damage, but I've had my share of problems with this fight over here coming up. But the run back to this fight coming up over here, so you're going to get to the save point, and then what I would do is do the next fight by the subway car, and then fortunately they let you jump back up here, so I'll actually just show you me jumping back up there. And so take as little damage as you possibly can down here. If that means spamming fly swallows and drops, just do it, because I don't have a problem about using UTs and using moves that work and playing the way I want, because the second someone tells me how to play is the second that I stop listening to them. Okay, so that's done. It's a pretty quick fight, but since you're likely to die on this next fight several times until you get the hang of it, you're going to be doing the run back to it. So what I would recommend is just save it after that fight that we just did, so that your run back can just be a run through here without any complications, because you want to just come into this room here as fast as you can and redo the fight if you do die. Now after you've killed one or two, you'll want to look behind you, because see this one? This is the beginning of where the fight started over here, where we jumped down from the car, and they spawn one guy to cut you off, so it's actually really dangerous. And I don't like the look of the fire when they throw it anymore. I know they changed it. I think they changed it for the worse. It just looks kind of artificial and not very good in my opinion. So your other alternative would be to go near them, and when you do get near them, they'll alight. They'll try to pounce on you though, so you'll want to dash out of the way of that. But if you can get some well-placed charges off these enemies, you should. And you should do the 360 UT, because that will give you a ton of iframes to deal with them. And even if you have to release your charge, if a fireball is going to hit you, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind missing if it's going to prevent me from getting hit and juggled by their projectiles. And occasionally they will run at you, but mostly what they do is they stay up in the air quite a bit, throwing their fireballs, and then they'll slowly come over to you. And you need to really be careful because they have this attack where they hit the ground several times, and it's a AoE all around their body, so you need to be really careful about that. And then here's the Death Megalo Flyer. He's got a new name. It's still a pretty poor boss fight though, but it's not as reprehensible as it used to be. And remember, you can shoot faster with the arrows if you move while you're locked onto it. And the thing is, if you can't move, like right now, I would ordinarily try to move, but sometimes it does lock you into a situation where you can't move forward and shoot faster. I'm not sure, but anytime he turns upside down, I don't think he attacks. But the thing is, you can't do UT attacks on him. They don't connect anymore. I mean, they might connect, but they're not going to damage him. So you need to close in the distance as much as you can with this guy. You don't want a lot of empty space in between you and him. And then, of course, try not to get too complacent when you're shooting the bow, because he does throw out the fish, and they come at you pretty quickly. And then at certain points, he may decide to use the Mask of Death over here. If it's coming right at you and you're having a hard time avoiding it, just use the Inferno, or yeah, I guess that's the only choice you would have at this point, is to use the Inferno, because the Flame Phoenix wouldn't give you many iframes. But it's not a catastrophe of a boss anymore, but it's still a boss fight. I'm questioning why it's here in the first place, but I guess they would have to make another boss to put it in its place, and that wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world to do. But I think once you take most of his health away, he'll drop, and it's just a matter of going up to him. But the reason you want to stay close to him is because of the fish that come after you, and also his projectile. He does a really fast barrage of those blue missile projectiles. And a situation like this right here, I'm not comfortable avoiding that. I'm just not comfortable enough. It probably has a huge area of effect. That at that particular spot, I was definitely gonna take a lot of hits right there. And then, this is just a testament to the UT, because on Ninja Gaiden 2, you could damage him with the 360 UT with the Lunar. That's why I have it, because I thought you could, but that's no longer the case. So just execute him at the end of the fight, and then that's the conclusion of Chapter 3, and I will see you in Video 4. And until then, please take care.